Bashar al-Assad has lost his country, but if reports are true, he nearly lost his life too. That's right, Assad was reportedly poisoned in Russia. It is said to have happened last Sunday. We don't have official confirmation from the Russians yet, but this is how things apparently unfolded. First, Assad began feeling a bit unwell, so he decided to seek medical help. As soon as he called for it, Assad began coughing and choking pretty violently as per reports. He was treated at his apartment in Moscow, and by Monday he's said to have stabilized. Later, tests were conducted and they reveal the presence of poison in his system. This is all that we know at this point. It's not clear who might have poisoned Bashar al-Assad, how he ingested it, and how he survived. But you have to admit that this is box office stuff: a deposed West Asian dictator, an unknown apartment in Moscow, and a mysterious poisoning attempt. The script writes itself. But let's not get carried away with the headline. Instead, let's look at what we know. Assad fled to Moscow early last month. The Syrian rebels were closing on his capital, Damascus. So Assad and his family packed up and left. They sought refuge in Moscow. President Putin had been supporting Assad in the civil war, so he agreed to host the exiled family. Since then, we haven't heard a lot about them. What we did hear was speculation. One report said that Assad's wife is seeking a divorce. Her name is Asma al-Assad. Apparently, she wants to live in Britain, where she was born. Just one problem, though. London has refused to welcome Assad and his family. So reports said Asma wanted a divorce. Eventually, the Kremlin denied these reports. Let's see if a similar clarification comes this time about the poisoning. But for now, let's assume that this report is true. Who would want to kill Bashar al-Assad? Frankly, a lot of people. He had enemies at home, in the West, and in the Arab world. The Syrian rebels have every reason to hunt Assad. He used chemical weapons on them. He unleashed carpet bombing on their cities and jailed thousands of critics. So the rebels would love to get even. They've already arrested 300 Assad loyalists. The plan is to try and punish them. But do they have the resources to poison Assad in Moscow? Right now, they don't. Plus, their plate is full as it is. The rebels are trying to stabilize the country. They're also facing airstrikes from Israel. They neither have the time nor the resources for such an operation. And frankly, it's not just about who did it. It's also about where it happened. It happened in Moscow, right under Vladimir Putin's nose. Assad would have expected to be safe in the Russian capital. His family owns 20 apartments there. His eldest son studied at a Moscow university, and they often vacation in Crimea. On paper, this was a very tight relationship. Yet Putin and Assad were never close, which is a bit strange because the Russian president is known for forging close personal bonds. We've seen him eating ice cream with Turkey's Erdogan, playing ice hockey with Lukashenko, and vacationing with a handful of European leaders. But he did none of that with Bashar al-Assad. And when Damascus fell, Russia was reportedly livid. They had long asked Assad to make concessions, to reform and bolster the army. But Assad refused to do any of that. And some of that frustration was evident from Moscow, like at Putin's annual presser. It was held 10 days after Assad had fled to Russia. Yet Putin said he hadn't met him yet.
To be honest, I have not yet seen President Assad after he arrived in Moscow, but I plan to do it. I will surely speak to him.
It's been another 10 days. Moscow is yet to report a meeting between Assad and Putin. And now this report of an assassination bid. It will be interesting to see how Russia reacts to this news. That could give us clues on what actually happened.